Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sunday Shenanigans with me, your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. And we are here with the Peanut Gallery and the associate producer, Kat, and the Peanut Gallery. Hi, guys.
Hello.
And hi, Just Me Crystal. Hi, Kush Gang. Kingsways. Great to see you. Wonderful to see you in the chat. We are gonna be listening to and sort of playing along with Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, NPR's news quiz game, but it is a clip show, so we're really mostly just gonna be having fun. Before we get into that, though, today's pre-rolls brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, on the Downtown Mall, 105 West Main Street, above the Brick, Suite 200, between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. Also, the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. And they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research. By which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Thank you for the cheer, Kush Gang. And thank you for redeeming Strawberry. And I would like to say, Your Honor, that this strawberry is not the strawberry in question. The strawberry in question was found in the library, Your Honor, and I would like to submit for this court's consideration that the strawberry in the library is not the same as the strawberry that is here before you today, Your Honor. Where was I in the ad read?
Yep.
Lowest
Might as well
prices.
just start with your highly biased opinion and go from there.
Oh, yes, the lowest prices in town, according to my own highly biased opinion, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I formed my biased opinion. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com. Also, the times and events, the events such as Frosty Fridays, where you can find our other sponsors. Kush Gang, purveyors of incredibly fine edibles that are absolutely delicious. And Firehouse Craft Farm. We're a politically opinionated bunch of people, so I would like to say that any political opinions you hear stated herein belong to the expressor of the opinion, the channel, and possibly the label, but not necessarily any of our advertisers, such as The Hidden Leaf, the Kush Gang, purveyors of very fine edibles, or Firehouse. Yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, Kush Gang, while you're in here, I wanted to let you know that the vape, this guy has really helped me stay down on cigarettes. I might have gone over my 5 a day the last 2 days. However, I'm still staying well below a half a pack of cigarettes a day, and this vape has a lot to do with that. So thank you very much, Kush Gang. Thank you very, very much. I'm here. I swear I'm here. We were Gonna talk about a few current events real quickly before we get going. Um, some in the slightly less catastrophic department. Oh, Kush Gang you're working on quitting cigarettes too? Man, solidarity. I feel you. That is not an easy thing to do. It is the hardest thing I have ever quit. Cigarettes. And that's why I'm not even trying to quit. I'm just trying to stay below a half a pack a day. Trying to stay at a quarter pack a day. Just because, I mean, they're harder to quit than anything else I've ever quit. And I've quit a lot. So current events in the slightly less catastrophic department. We can do it. That's right. We can do it. Kingsway is we can do it. A ship, a tall-masted ship hit the Brooklyn Bridge. Turns out it was a Mexican vessel that had been in New York for training exercises for about a week. And they just... So the report that I heard is that the pilot of the ship is not at fault. That the ship lost power and he couldn't steer it.
Mm-hmm.
The bridge wasn't hurt. One person, I think it was one person died. There was one fatality. Huh?
Two
fatalities.
As far as we know right now, they had, when they first reported last night, they had like 19 or 20 that were injured, and they had another 10 or 11 that were severely injured. So it's kind of been changing between like 9 o'clock last night and this morning.
As reports come in.
Yeah.
Okay. It's and of course Peanut Gallery said something absolutely hilarious right before we came on air. That's also incredibly tasteless.
Okay. Since you said it's tasteless, I now know what you're talking about.
You want to go ahead and drop that line?
Well, I'm kind of wary about dropping that line for fear that some other pundits might take it up and try to make it real.
Oh, we're labeled comedy. If somebody else thinks that we're real, we have every right to make fun of them.
Okay.
We might as well say it before the Onion does.
Right? Exactly.
Yes, it was the opening salvo in the next Mexican-American War.
Right. Mexico got tired of our crap and finally attacked.
Oh, we almost caught you off guard with that one.
Right.
He ran out of bombs and tokens and everything yesterday.
Oh, I really did.
Yesterday was just a cluster bomb.
Yesterday was a cluster bomb.
It was. And we found out that the friends and family discount price for 1 minute of my time to be spent being verbally uncomfortable is $15. It's good to know my price, I guess.
That makes you about as cheap a date as I am.
That was the friends and family discount price. We'll see what it's like if somebody who isn't friends and family wants to buy my voice for a minute.
Uh-huh.
That's also, I think, yesterday's price. I think today the
That was
price has gone
yesterday's
up.
price.
Yeah.
Inflation, along with the opinion of yourself.
Exactly.
Oh.
Uh, so let's see what else. What other craziness went on in the news over the last couple of days?
Um,
We had a bunch of stuff right before we came on air.
you've got the investigation into the clinic in California.
Uh, okay. Which investigation? Which
Um,
clinic?
the one out in Palm Springs with the car bomb.
That's right. Somebody set off a car bomb in front of an abortion clinic. Um, One person was killed, and they are no longer looking for suspects, which makes me think that the
Um,
person that was killed was probably the pro-lifer in the car with the bomb, and they only got themselves. And you also, before we came on air, Peanut Gallery, you got to this punchline before I did about the irony of being pro-life
Yep.
and being completely willing to kill others and yourself to prove how pro-life you are.
well, the thing is, it really seems like this is labeled as a fertility clinic.
Right.
It seems to be that they're putting out that they don't do anything other than IVF.
Oh, so this was an attack on IVF.
Yeah.
Or just a really
Um,
misguided attack.
it could be misguided. They heard clinic and went, "Oh, that's what this is."
All the attacks are misguided, but that's
Yeah.
beside the point.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
It could be that what I'm seeing on the public page, while true, is not thorough.
okay.
But yeah,
Some yeah.
it could be that this was just one branch of the group, and this is the specific branch that deals with IVF, and they have other clinics located elsewhere that do other things.
That's possible. Um
Either way,
not not a good look.
no, not a good look. Period. But
And it's hard to,
if your intended goal is to make a statement about being pro-life, you need
murder, it just seems to be the most opposite of pro-life possible.
yeah.
My goodness.
The good news is they did not actually have any patients that day.
That is good news.
Um,
That's probably why the car bomber didn't make it out of the blast radius. He just didn't have patience.
Beat me to that one.
oh,
So moving on to something else. Uh, let's see, what else happened recently? Oh. The ruling came down about that judge that got arrested
It's not
for
a ruling yet, but they're arguing it.
ah
They're arguing it using the ruling that was used for Trump for his supposed violations
the
while
lo-
in office.
the lawyer that let the immigrant get away from her courtroom.
Yep.
And they're prosecuting her. They're trying to prosecute her. And she's going with the argument that this was an official act.
Mhm.
It happened in her courtroom. She did it in her courtroom where she is judge, so it's an official act. Which is the same logic that the Supreme Court used as to why, while Trump is in office, he can't be prosecuted for anything he does.
Right.
Which, good use, I think, good use of the turnabout is fair play legal stance. I
Yep.
I hope it works. I've been hoping to hear back from the Supreme Court about universal injunctions, because that was something they were discussing this week as well.
Let's see.
And it is. I don't know if we've gotten a ruling. It
We
was.
haven't got that yet. Or if
Yeah.
we do, I haven't come across it.
It was part of the. It was part of the deportation without due process case that went before the Supreme Court. And what Trump's lawyers were arguing is that universal injunctions by regional courts are unconstitutional because they set a precedent outside of the area that the court is adjudicating around.
Yeah. It looks like they're still talking about that one.
I'm
They
really
haven't.
I'm really curious as to how that comes out.
Yeah.
That's the one that I think could have a huge impact. Let's see what else happened in the news this week.
Let's see. Oh, where did it go? Well, let's see. Apparently, Walmart has started posting notes saying that their prices are going to go up due to tariffs, especially the ones from China.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
and Trump has turned around and said, "Oh, you can just eat this."
Right. Trump's trying to tell Walmart to eat the and it I'd like to point out the irony of the financial regulation the government is placing on a big business there.
Mm-hmm.
It feels a little, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
really, pretty much it feels like the world's burning around us.
Oh, definitely.
But you know, Well, let's wade into this clip show today. Being that it's a clip show, we're not gonna bother keeping score. Um, and yeah, what you humming there?
I don't wanna set the world on fire. I just wanna start a flame in your heart.
You know, Peanut Gallery, you actually have a nice voice. You have a very nice voice.
Unfortunately, that song is because I've played way too much Fallout.
Yeah. There's no such thing. Too
While I'm
much
sitting here playing Oblivion.
Too much Fallout? No. Oblivion. Fallout. Oh, I had it. Anyway. Medieval Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. There's the joke. So yeah, it looks like this is the clip show this week. Guar, Gretchen Whitmer, Josh Gad. Looks like it'll be fun. Is everybody clicked on and ready?
I think so.
Ready as I'll ever be.
Support for NPR and the following message come from SAP Concur. Latora Jackson is the Senior Manager
Y'all
for
hear it?
Finance Projects at AtriCure, a healthcare company creating technologies that help treat atrial fibrillation. Click the play button to hear her conversation with Ryan Demray from SAP Concur and learn how SAP Concur solutions give AtriCure employees more time to give back to their community. Support for NPR and the following message come from USPS. Did you?
Everybody hear it okay?
Yep.
All right.
From NPR and WBEZ Chicago, this is Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. Invite me to your Memorial Day picnic. I'll eat your deviled eggs no matter how long they've been out in the sun. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your host at the Studebaker Theater in the Fine Arts Building in Chicago, Illinois, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everybody. So good to see you all. I am going to be honest with you all. The year's not even half over, and we are already exhausted. So inspired by the hit TV show The White Lotus, we're going to take a week off. We're going to an exotic retreat, and we're going to work on our wellness.
Oh, no. There's been a murder. Who could have seen this coming?
While we try to get to the bottom of this, we've got some soothing treatments for you, selected from the finest, naturally derived radio segments.
First up, actor Josh Gad, the voice of Olaf, the snowman in Frozen, among many other roles. He joined us in January to talk about his new memoir.
And congratulations on the book, which I devoured this week. Was it a little intimidating to write a memoir at the age of 43?
Well, it was just sitting there and typing all the words was intimidating because I had to come up with them.
Yeah.
And, you know, as it started to expand, it just felt like, okay, this may be a story worth telling. And then a publisher paid me, and I was like, okay, it is.
Yeah, that'll do it. Now, the question I often ask people like you who've done so many different things is, what are you most recognized for? And you say in the book that you wish you had used a different voice for Olaf the snowman, because whenever you're talking in public, children hear you and go insane.
Yeah, it was a stupid decision. I will get recognized in like grocery stores just being like, hi, is the milk over there? It can be something as innocuous as that. And all of a sudden, 3 children will just give me an exorcist stare.
Yeah.
So I regret that now. But at the same time, I'm grateful that so many people love the voice of Olaf, which
Yeah.
is me.
But-
The other thing that I'm weirdly recognized for is Bear Claw from New Girl, which makes no sense. There you go.
Yeah, okay, there's some people. So yeah, I myself have never watched the show. Why is that surprising? Who is Bear Claw?
That's my question as well.
Yeah.
I did 2 episodes of that show, and what's so funny is people went nuts for Bear Claw. He was this guy who pined after Jess, played by Zoe Deschanel, and I was actually with Zoe's real life husband Jonathan yesterday, and he looked at me and he goes, Bear Claw and Jess should have ended up together, which is it's a very weird take.
Yeah,
but
from
I
her
guess
actual
there's
husband, yeah.
Yeah, there's a small community, including her own husband, who just really love Bear Claw.
Wow.
Can I ask a question about Olaf?
Yes?
So
Of course.
I have a 6-year-old daughter. So your voice is in my apartment all the time. And you're
This
great.
feels like less of a question and more like a threat.
What kind of relationship do you have with the parents of the children that go nuts?
Well, one that's very volatile, like whatever.
Like this thing that's happening right now, yeah.
You know what's funny is I've now been on the other side of it, where my girls are obsessed with Wicked right now.
Sure.
And I'm having to listen to Ariana Grande's Popular over and over and over again, or Cynthia Erivo's song. So I'm with you. I'm struggling, and I know these people, and so I'm texting them, and I'm like, "Can we please just put a moratorium on this?"
Yeah.
You did a great job, but I can no longer listen to these songs on a loop.
Wow. It's like a Twilight Zone episode thing where it happens to you, man.
It took so much empathy for you to give that detailed answer instead of just saying, as I would have, Nagin, let it go.
He has more dignity than that, Josh.
I know.
He has more dignity than that.
He's the superior Josh G.
You did tell the story in the book of one person who did not recognize you, which was the director David O. Russell.
Oh, God, yeah. So David O. Russell, this is such a crazy story. David O. Russell, brilliant director. We were at the same Mommy and Me program, because we're both mommies. And we were outside, and it was after he had just been nominated for one of the many films he was nominated for. And he looks at me, and I said, congratulations on your nomination. And he goes, oh, thank you. What do you do? And I said, oh, I'm an actor. And he says, well, what do you do? What do you act? And I said, oh, well, you're I do this, I do that. He didn't recognize any of them. And then I said, your kid may know me from something called Frozen. And he goes, what's that? I said, whoa. An animated movie that's sort of, everywhere, but you're home. And he goes, oh, what are you doing it? And I said, I'm a snowman. And he goes, do it. I said, what? He said, do it. And I said, do the snowman? He goes, yeah. And I looked at him, this Academy Award-winning director, and I said, hi, I'm Olaf. And and he looked at me and he goes, huh. And I have not been in a David O. Russell film. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Man, directors have a different level of ego. There's this level of ego that a director has where they just demand a performance from you, whether they're your director at the moment or not. They see everyone as a potential performer, and they approach with this sense of, you will do what I say. And it is, I think, I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's something worth being aware of, I guess.
Good for the job, not so great for everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, if I run into somebody and they're like, "Oh, you're a comedian, tell me a joke," I'll go, "F off. I am not at work. I'm not doing my job right now, so F off," you know? But directors feel they have that right because every performer wants to impress a director so they can do one of that director's projects.
And suddenly I just have this image of Scorsese in a grocery store line behind a bedraggled new mother whose child is crying, and he just steps around her and looks directly at the child and says, "Now try that again, with quiet suffering."
Right. Give me feeling. No, not that kind of feeling. Real feeling from inside. I see the picture. I see the picture. I felt like I needed to address that because it is something that, you know, this is, we all just accepted that this director would demand this of Josh Gad when they're out doing a Mommy and Me thing.
Yeah.
You know? You want me to turn in a performance while I am looking after children? Much like well, not exactly like, but similar to the situation of the grocery store line.
I'd have done a song, dude. That would have done it.
But then afterwards he goes, "Oh, you're Bear Claw."
I gotta ask one thing. The book does cover some of your struggle. And one story I loved is when you applied as a young man when you were living in Florida to work at Disney.
There were two rides that I always wanted to be the sort of host of. One was this ride called the Great Movie Ride, and then the other was the Jungle Cruise.
Right.
And so I said, you know, I really think that I would be an amazing skipper on the Jungle Cruise. And this person looks at me and goes, "Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but we do have openings on our janitorial staff." And then years later, I told this story at something called the Disney Legends Award. And the head of the parks came up to me and said, "Would you like to be a skipper for a day on the Jungle Cruise?" So I got to live out my dream.
Really?
And I was a skipper for a day.
But when David O. Russell got in that boat.
Well,
Game over.
yeah, amazing. Well, Josh Gad, it is a pleasure to talk to you after seeing you do so many amazing things over the years. But we have asked you here to play a game we're calling
Josh Gad, meet Posh Lads.
Oh, boy.
So we've decided to ask you about Posh Lads, those fancy boys produced by British universities and boarding schools. Bill, who is Josh playing for?
Larry Anderson of
Enjoy
Denver,
your lurk.
Colorado.
All right, here we go.
We'll be here.
Here's your first question. In 1805, Posh Lad and poet Lord Byron attended Cambridge University, but Cambridge wouldn't let him bring his dog with him, as dogs were banned. So Lord Byron, that scamp, did what? Was it A, he kept a bear in his dorm room instead because nothing in the rules said he couldn't do that? B, he built a doghouse 50 feet away, just off school grounds, with a tunnel connecting it to his room. Or C, he submitted a fake application that got his dog hired as a professor.
C. I feel like it gotta be C.
I think it's the bear thing, because that's just crazy to come up with.
Well, you think it's the bear? Well, you're right. It was the bear. Yeah, he used to walk the bear around campus on a chain. All right, Josh, your next question. The famously elite Eton College has a long...
What was that?
Of course, Bear Claw would know that.
Of course Bear Claw would know that. You know where I know him from? You know where I know Josh Gad from?
Nowhere.
There was this show called Bored to Death. And it was Adam Goldberg. It was starring Adam Goldberg and co-starring Ted Danson and Zach Galifianakis. And Josh Gad was one episode, I think, was in for one episode where there was this woman that the main character was seeing, and she wanted to have a threesome, and Josh Gad was the third person. Oh, and the other person in this was one of the other people in this. Oliver Platt was in it, in the show, not in the threesome. And oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who played Mac in the old, or not Mac, played the IBM in the old Mac and IBM commercials. And it's something, his name is very alliterative.
Let's see.
It's, oh gosh, it was a great show. It was very, it was very goofy, very silly, very fun. Yeah.
There we go. That's the correct series. I think it's the correct series. I'm looking.
Take your time. Although this is the, you can see why I need Brock around as my memory banks.
If you want to hit play while I'm doing my searching, that works.
All right.
Most people have to deal with a memory block. You have to deal with a memory block.
Yep.
Called the Eton Wall Game. It's a sort of combination of soccer and rugby, and it's played against this big brick wall.
Yes, I've played it.
You have?
No, I lied to you.
I understand. There's an annual game between the fanciest king scholars and the rest of the school. It's a big deal, even though which of these is true? A, the last time anyone scored a goal in the game was in 1909. B, the wall completely encloses the playing field so none of the spectators can actually see anything. Or C, the game is played with a 95-year-old ball that deflates if you kick it.
I'm going to go with C.
You're going to go with C, that is played with a 95-year-old ball. No, the answer is actually A. No one has scored a goal in this game for more than 100 years. Here's your last question. If you get this, you win. Here we go. Eton was founded in the year 1440, so obviously a lot has changed over the years. For example, in the 17th century, what was a rule imposed on all Etonians? A, before exams, the headmaster inspected each boy to ensure his upper lip was sufficiently stiff. B, students were forbidden from even learning the cleaning staff's first names. Or C, for their health, all students were required to smoke before breakfast.
C.
I'm thinking it's B. Wait, what is your audience screaming?
The audience is screaming C. The audience is screaming C.
All right, well, my friend in Denver, if the audience gets this wrong, it's on them, not me. C.
You're all right. It was C.
Yes! We did it!
They smoked tobacco. They were forced to smoke tobacco for their health. It probably protected
I
them.
love you guys. Thank you for bailing me out.
Bill, how did Josh Gad do in our quiz?
Well, how can you get a bigger winner? Congratulations, Josh.
I don't know. Josh Gad's new memoir is In Gad We Trust. Josh Gad, thank you so much for joining us on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. What a joy to talk to you, and what a pleasure to spend time. Stay safe.
Jason Schwartzman.
When we come back, the taxidermist to the stars and a woman
Jason Schwartzman.
Okay.
Jeez. Not Adam Goldberg. Jason Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman is not Adam Goldberg. That's just racist, Trevor. Just racist.
Yeah, no, looking
Was
through
I right?
the cast
Is it
list
Josh
for this show is
Gad?
hilarious.
Is it Josh Gad, though? Was I at least right about that?
Oh, you're right. You're right about. I think you're right about that. I haven't made it down to the one episode people yet, but you've got those three. You do have Oliver Platt. You've got Patton Oswalt.
Oh, he is great. Oh, he is so good in that. I forgot about him. Yeah, he's the,
Stacy Keach.
Oh, yep. Oh, Stacey Keach is brilliant in it, too.
Jim Gaffigan.
Yeah.
He shows up vaguely. Evan Bacon. Sarah Silverman.
Kevin Bacon as himself.
Yes. Yep, Josh Gad is there.
Sarah Silverman, yeah, I forgot about her, but yeah, of course. Oh gosh, what's his name from Parks and Rec?
Which one?
The skinny, innocent looking guy.
Not a clue.
Okay.
Not that I have a clue with any of them, but still.
Right. It's I won't be able to come up with his name, and I can't describe him any better than that unless I see a picture of him and go, "Oh, that guy."
Yeah. I think I passed his name, yes. Let's see. Amy Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? You know, the guy from The Thing.
Yeah, that
Right.
guy. That's it.
Oh, good old what's his name?
Hmm.
Did you get to the name of what's his name? The guy who played IBM? It's John or something. John something.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
That's funny. That's my name too.
Right. I mean, we've got the guy that played Jonathan Ames.
What's the actor's name?
That's Schwartzen played Jonathan.
No. Okay, yeah, no. I didn't think so. No.
Um, let's see.
He should be right there near Oliver Platt.
Well, all right. I have Jonathan, I have Ray, I have George, I have Leah, Lewis, Bernard, Richard, Emily, Stella, Suzanne,
Lewis?
Catherine, Nina, Josephine, Priscilla.
Who plays Lewis?
Lewis. I'm looking for Lewis.
Decoding my memory is really interesting.
You said Erwin.
And unfortunately, sometimes you do that and you just end up with the message of drink more Ovaltine.
Yeah. Right?
Maury. Lisa.
Message 404. Not found.
Yeah, basically.
Drink more Ovaltine.
All right, we've got a fake Jonathan.
No.
Played by Brett Gelman.
Nope. It's Lewis.
Lewis. All right, I have made it down to the one episode people.
Who plays Lewis?
That's what I'm saying is I have made it down to the one episode people, and there has not been a Lewis so far listed as a character.
When you were reading off up there at the top,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned a name, and I repeated the name.
There's a John Hodgman.
That's it. Han Hodgman. John Hodgman. That's the name I'm looking for. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Han Hodgman. That's him.
Okay.
Stop flexing your nerds.
No, that's his character in Pathfinder. Han Hodgman.
Oh, Coraline.
Who's he in Coraline?
Okay. He was the other father in Coraline.
Oh, that tracks. He was in oh gosh. Wow, crap. What's the name of the guy who one of the creators of Rick and Morty? Also did Community. Had a show where he and his friends were playing Pathfinder.
Ah.
And they would get in outside actors and friends to come in for an episode. And John Hodgman came in, and his character he named his character Han Hodgman instead of John Hodgman.
Ah.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Something Quest. Harmon! John Harmon, Harmon Quest, not John Harmon. But Harmon Quest was the name of the show.
All right.
Dan Harmon. Dan Harmon was the guy who helped create, or was one of the creators behind Community and behind Rick and Morty.
Okay.
There. Some of my memory banks still work.
Yeah, they're all overdrawn.
That's
I mean,
why my reality
yeah.
checks keep bouncing.
It's just a shame that Brock was not here to hear this and witness this for himself.
No, I'm quite happy that he wasn't, because I'm kind of sorry that I just couldn't get to John Hodgman. That's not... Like, he'd be disappointed in me for that one.
No, I think he'd be proud because you did actually get there. But in circles first, but did actually get there.
Yeah. Did actually get there eventually. All right, back to the show.
Yes.
We should have given Kush Gang time to get back now.
I think so.
Affectionately known as Big Gretch. That's when we return with more Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me from NPR.
Brandon and Bruce.
This message and find create the Thuma bed collection where to sell. Shopify has the
This is Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis. Here's your host at the Studebaker Theater in downtown Chicago, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. So, thank you all so much. So right now, all of us at Wait Wait are off in a spa somewhere looking at custom reports on our biometrics and nodding along as if we understand them.
All I know is my heart chakra is outperforming the Tao.
Our therapy for you, though, is some delightful conversations we've had in the past few months.
One of the more interesting was in February with Amber Maycutt. She's known in the media by an unusual title, which Peter asked her about when she joined us.
We saw that you were called Taxidermist to the Stars. What exactly does that mean? How did you earn that title?
I guess that a lot of celebrities have bought stuff for me or commissioned work for me, or I go to their houses and fix their taxidermy and hang it up for them.
Can you describe, without breaking any confidences, what the kind of work you've done for some of these people?
Let's see. So for Drew Barrymore, I did some framed butterflies to hang on the wall. And then for Amy Sedaris, I did a pheasant. And then for Adam Jones, he's the guitarist of Tool, I did a ram head with 4 horns on it, and a goat head for the band Slayer.
I'm sure the goat heads are very popular with the whole heavy metal genre, right? They all need the goat heads.
Yeah, definitely.
Could you, I think people should understand this, that when we're talking about your taxidermy, for the most part, we're not talking about what they're thinking of, which is like, I don't know, a deer head, mounted above a bar or in a cabin somewhere. Could you describe your work and what makes it special?
Sure. A lot of what I do is called anthropomorphic taxidermy. So it's kind of giving life human characteristics or activities to the taxidermy. So behind me here, I have like a raccoon cowboy. So it's a raccoon wearing a cowboy hat and a red bandana around his neck, and he's doing finger guns with his paws. And that one's actually for Justin Long and Kate Bosworth. It's shipping to LA. And then the one next to it is actually a squirrel riding a horse, waving a cowboy hat. Cowboy theme happening here. And that one's for Maura Tierney, who's an actress from the show ER.
Yes. I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on Justin Long's raccoon with the cowboy hat and the finger guns.
Yeah. So that one was probably one of my best sellers that went viral online. I made one once, and then I put it online in my online shop that people could just click and buy it, and then...
So you came up with it. Where did that come from? Were you like thinking about raccoons and going, what would make them even better?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I write down things in the middle of the night sometimes that make no sense at all, so who knows?
Is there, do taxidermists have, their own aesthetic? What makes a great taxidermy?
Yeah, a good mount.
A good mount, thank you.
So taxidermy is, if you see the mannequin behind me on the one side, so this is a Himalayan goat on one side that's mounted with the skin on it already. And the one on the other side is just a mannequin with just a form. So it's an anatomically correct mannequin to that specimen.
How do you get anatomically correct models of animals? Or do you make them?
So there's taxidermy supply companies, dozens of them in the US, where you can order, your deer mannequin or skunk mannequin, and then you basically, it's kind of tailoring in reverse. You whittle down your mannequin or build up your mannequin to custom fit it to your skin. And then you use glass eyes that are also anatomically correct to the specimen, to the millimeter, a wire for the tail, and then you do, you kind of clay for musculature and sculptural work, and sew it up, do your hair and makeup, do airbrushing, painting. So it's a lot of sculpture.
Yeah.
This is how I get ready in the morning, too.
Yeah. You're just basically a polyurethane core.
There's like tons of molds.
Urethane? I mean, obviously, you're so deeply invested in this. I have a problem with stuffed animals because whenever I look away, I assume they're moving their heads to stare at me. And I turn and I look back and they're immediately still again. I find it discomforting to be near all those completely still animals. It's creepy. Do you ever?
Well, thanks for having me on then.
Oh, you're welcome. It was an act of courage on my part. Well, Amber Meka, we have invited you here to play a game we're calling
They're Alive!
So, as we have been discussing, you specialize in putting deceased animals recreated in people's homes. So we thought we'd ask you about 3 instances of live animals getting in there. Get 2 out of 3 right, you will win our prize for one of our listeners. Are you ready to play?
Sure.
All right, Chioki, who is Amber Makeup playing for?
Larry Gold of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
All right. Minnesotans here. Here's your first question. An Australian family was surprised when a koala got into their house, especially because it took them a little while to notice it. Where was it? A, on their couch next to a throw pillow with a koala printed on it. B, hanging on their Christmas tree as if pretending to be an ornament. Or C, sitting on top of their ceiling fan until, that is, they turned the ceiling fan on.
I think it's A.
I'm going to go with A.
You're going to go with A, that it was on their couch next to a koala throw pillow. And they were like, oh, I guess we have 2 koalas. Oh, you pick it up because you're choosing B, hanging on their Christmas tree?
I guess so.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
It was like hanging on the Christmas tree. They like trees. It makes sense, all right? Good. All right. Next question. Some people actually welcome wild animals into their homes, including some surprising people. Like which of these? A, Britain's King Charles, who not only lets red squirrels into his Scottish estate, but leaves jackets hanging on chairs with nuts in the pockets for them to find. B, Jamie Foxx, who has a deal with local animal control for them to bring any captured foxes, naturally, to his house. Or C, Peyton Manning, who learned to imitate 6 different mating calls so he could attract animals to his patio.
I'll go with A.
You know A. Britain's King Charles, you're right.
Yeah.
He loves those red squirrels.
But I want C
He says,
to be
sometimes
real.
when I leave my jackets on a chair with nuts in the pockets, I see them with their tails sticking out as they hunt for nuts. They're incredibly special creatures. All right. Last question. You're doing very well. It's not just houses that can have trouble with wildlife. A high school in Little Rock had a bat infestation, but dealt with it quickly and decisively. Just by doing what? A, changing their mascot from the running rebels to the fighting bats. B, enrolling the bats as students, which allowed them access to state funds to get rid of the bats. Or C, just ceding control of the school to the bats and making all classes remote for a while.
C.
C.
Yes, exactly right. It took them about 4 days to clear out the bats and clean up everything and bring the students back. Jokey, how did Amber do in our quiz?
Amber got 3 taxidermy finger guns. She is a
Well
winner.
done. Amber Maycutt is a taxidermist to the stars and the founder of Brooklyn Taxidermy. You can see her work at brooklyntaxidermy.com. I recommend it highly.
Yes.
Amber, well, thank you so much for being on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Take care. Bye-bye.
In April, we all traveled to Detroit to speak to Michigan's governor, Gretchen Whitmer, who had just published a book with a title inspired by her nickname, Big Gretch.
I asked her how she came to embrace that handle.
So I'm named after both my grandmothers, Gretchen and Esther.
Right.
And Grandma Gretchen always said, never let anyone call you Gretch. Your name is Gretchen. Gretch sounds like wretch. It's not pretty. So I've always had this aversion to being called Gretch. And I don't know many women that want big in front of their nickname. You know? So Big Gretch, when it first came to be during the pandemic, I was not sure what to make of it. And a woman who worked with me, Shaquila Myers, who's from Detroit, said, you don't understand. this is a compliment. This is like the people of Detroit just gave you the key to the city.
Right.
This is, they love you. This is a nice thing. So now it's my favorite nickname, Big
Well, wait a
Gretch.
minute. If there might be somebody in the audience who's not as au courant with Detroit hip hop as you and I, that came from but it was bestowed upon you by a Detroit rapper named G-Mac, right?
So he made it into a song.
Cash.
It started in the city of Detroit, but he made Big Gretch into a song, and that's really what blew it up.
Right, and for people who don't know it, I'm not going to attempt to perform it, but the chorus is, throw the buffs on her face, cause that's Big Gretch. We ain't about to stress, we got Big Gretch. You can find her in the press under Big Gretch. Fresh in a new dress, yeah, that's Big Gretch.
And you said you weren't going to perform it.
It's almost like G-Mac Cash is here with us.
It really is. It's just, sticking with nicknames for a second, you mentioned in the book that you've had other nicknames before Big Gretch, one of which was Gravity Gretchen.
Yes.
And could you tell us?
One of my favorite G-Mac Cash songs is the Detroit Sign song. And because Detroit spent some stupid amount of money to get a sign that was supposed to... It's tiny. It's tiny. It's not very impressive at all. It is. And he tore that. Not nice. One of the lines is, it looks like you ordered it off of Temu. Or no, ordered it off of Wish. Better hope the wind doesn't blow and knock it over. Looks like it should be out front of a high school. So he says some pretty mean things about the sign, but it's a really good rap. It's really funny.
Got that particular.
Well,
What?
So you're saying he did not think it was a sign of our times?
No. He thought it was a bad sign. Not a good sign. Insignificant.
very accident-prone person.
Right.
I'm a klutz. I run into things. I fall down. I mean, I was practicing my State of the State last year, and I ran into one of the podiums. I had a huge bruise. It just happens all the time. But when I was in middle school, I went to church camp, and for some reason it was out in Virginia, or West Virginia of all places.
Hey.
And I was running to a base, and the other girl tagged me, but pushed me really hard, and I went right into the cement and knocked out my front teeth. And so I came back from church camp in a wheelchair because I got 30 stitches in my knee. Both my hands were cut up, my face was cut up, and I was missing my teeth. And my father just looked at me and said, "Gravity Gretchen."
And what did you do to anger God thusly?
It's a good question. I felt most bad about my dad because he just paid for braces to fix the gap between those front teeth.
Well,
but now I think I got to figure out how I angered God. Thank you.
Well, something for the next book.
Yeah. Since we brought it up, I have to ask you about another time you fell down, or at least were found on the ground in high school.
Yeah.
Which again, I think is a unique story among America's governors. I was wondering if you could share that.
Well, I'll just say this: no dogs were shot in my book.
That's
so.
true.
Right.
Yeah, but shots were just fired.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I ran with a fast crowd.
Yeah.
And it was the 80s. You know, there was not a whole lot of parental oversight and a lot of access to alcohol. And I drank a lot before a football game, and I passed out between two cars, and my principal found me. And I tell the story because that was really when I kind of got it together.
Yeah.
And became the best, the most improved student that year, and went to Michigan State, and ended up, thank you, go Green, ended up, on the dean's list. And then I went to law school and graduated magna cum laude. But I think it was that moment that really, it was devastating, and I was punished, but it really inspired me to get my act together.
Right. I get that, but in the telling of that story, which, as you say, is inspirational both in terms of its effect on your life and I think hopefully to the many young people who might read the book, there was a detail that you left out just now, which is when the principal found you.
Yeah?
Didn't you vomit?
Oh, I threw up on him.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, this all sounds like Big Gretch behavior.
It really does. It really does. Continuing, this is great because one of the interesting things about your life is that we can tell it in via nicknames. Another famous one, of course, you could find it on merch. That Woman from Michigan, which was bestowed upon you by President Trump, or as I guess we should call him, President Trump 1.0. It must be exciting. Are you hoping for a new nickname in the second term?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna, see how it goes.
All right. Yeah, but the T-shirt printers are ready in case he comes up with something.
That Michigan's Etsy community is ready to roll.
Governor Whitmer, it is an absolute thrill to be able to talk to you here in Detroit. As we have with so many important people, we have invited you here to play a game that this time we are calling...
Check out these not-so-great lakes.
So Michigan, as I'm sure you know, is the Great Lakes state.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Well played. Well played.
So we thought we'd ask you about some not-so-great lakes. That is, much, much smaller bodies of water. Answer 2 out of 3 questions about tiny lakes correctly, and you will win our prize from one of our listeners, the voice of anyone they might choose for our show. Bill, who is Governor Whitmer playing for?
Jeff Kruger of Livonia, Michigan.
Are you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
Here's your first question. One of the smallest bodies of water you can find is, of course, a hot tub. And if you happen to have a hot tub outside of your house in Monrovia, California in the 1990s, you had to watch out for what? A brand new STD that evolved in the heated water called jacuzzi-ria. B, Samson the hot tub bear, a 500-pound black bear who loved ending his day in somebody's hot tub. Or C, a business called Peeping Tim's Aerial Hot Tub Helicopter Tours.
Samson, the hot tub and bear.
You're right. You just knew.
Had a feeling.
You just had a feeling because of your knowledge of hot tubs, your knowledge of bears, both, neither? Okay.
All of the above.
All of the above, yes. All right, that was very good, Governor. Here's your next question. Puddles. Harmless little bodies of water, but they can cause problems from time to time, as in when which of these happened? A Japanese government official got in trouble for making a subordinate give him a piggyback ride over a puddle. B, a single puddle caused a massive traffic jam in Texas when a Cybertruck rolled through it and shorted out. Or C, a Florida billionaire got caught trying to get a tax break by calling a puddle on his property an endangered wetland.
I mean,
all of the above?
I think it's A.
You think it's A, the Japanese government official. You're right.
Oh.
You're right. This happened back in 2016. And there was this big typhoon that damaged, and the minister in charge of emergency relief showed up, and there was a big puddle, and he says he forgot to bring his overshoes, so he had a subordinate pick him up and carry him through the puddle, which did not go over well with the Japanese public. He had to apologize. All right, that's very good. You have one more. Let's see if you can be perfect here. The largest public swimming pool ever, we think, was the Fleischhacker Public Pool in San Francisco. It was so enormous during its heyday that what once happened? A, it was taken over by a pod of gray whales. B, it had to close twice a day for low tide. Or C, they had to put lifeguards out to patrol the pool in rowboats.
C.
That's right. Wow. It was an enormous pool, now closed, now gone. Filled with seawater piped in from the ocean next door, they say could accommodate 10,000 people at once. Bill, how did Governor Whitmer do in our quiz?
She's perfect.
Yes. Gretchen Whitmer is the governor of Michigan. Her new book, True Gretch, is available now. It's a hoot and a half. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And wait, don't tell me. Give it up for your governor, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, two of the humans behind the heavy metal aliens of Gwar and a
Cunard, famous face.
Line does help you need.
Tell me, the NPR News Quiz. I'm Bill Curtis, and here is your host at the Studebaker Theater in the Fine Arts Building in downtown Chicago, Illinois, Peter Sagal.
Thank you, Bill. So by this time, at the exotic spa where we're spending the week, we've had the massages, the yoga, the meditation, and frankly, none of us are feeling any better.
That's it. I'm going to find a way to relax even if it kills me.
Well, you work on that, Bill. Here are two more treatments for our audience in the form of music therapy, by which we mean interviews with musicians.
We went to Richmond, Virginia in February to celebrate what the city was most famous for. The legendary shock rock band Gwar.
We were joined by Mike Bishop and Mike Dirks, who did something they almost never do. They got up on stage without their elaborate costumes and makeup. So I started by asking them to describe their band.
It's a theatrical shock rock, shock heavy metal band that is very performative on stage, and we are a theatrical show that involves a lot of costuming and set pieces and phony executions and it's very
that old saw.
Yeah,
quite literally. They use a saw sometimes.
we're also from outer space, though. We have a whole narrative.
Gor's a band of extraterrestrial war gods that has been banished to the planet Earth for all the crimes they committed in outer space.
Right. Yeah. So and you two were right there in the beginning. And when you joined the band, did you pick your own characters?
I inherited mine. I am Balzac, the Jaws of Death.
Balzac, the Jaws of Death.
And I was the third Jaws of Death. There had been a couple incarnations because the first few shows that Gwar played, it was just a collective of whatever artists and musicians they could grab from VCU and the surrounding areas to throw on these costumes and do a show.
Right. I love how folksy that sounds. You know, like my father is Mr. Balzac. He called me Balzac. But his grandfather was the Jaws of Death, and his grandfather before me.
And Bishop, who are you on stage?
So originally, I was Beefcake the Mighty, who was the bass player. And
Beefcake has some fans here.
Yeah, and now I am the singer, following the passing of the original lead singer, Dave Brockie, who everybody knows and loves.
Yep.
I came back, and now I play the Berserker Blothar.
The Berserker Blothar. And for people who haven't seen it, these costumes you wear are not just, like the guys from Kiss, for example, are just amateurs when it comes to you guys. You've got like enormous headpieces and huge full-body costumes that often have, shall we say, over-the-top anatomy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is not your first time in NPR
of
shock
because
rock has been
famously Gwar did a tiny desk concert. This is true. And by the way, I recommend everybody watch this. When you walked into NPR headquarters in the full Gwar regalia, what was the reaction from our colleagues there?
It was enthusiastic. They made us go around the whole studios, and I think
they were kind of using us to scare their coworkers.
Wait a minute, what do you mean? It'd be like, hey, Scott Simon, could you step out of the office just for a second?
Yeah. Sylvia.
And Gwar, very popular in Richmond, of course, and you even have a Gwar bar.
We do.
And barbecue.
People have been to for fans. And Dirks, you work there sometimes, right?
I do. I bartend, and I'm one of the managers there.
Right. And do people ever come in, and I presumably they're Gwar fans, do they recognize you?
We'll get people in there all the time. I'll be bartending, and people will come up and ask me, like, so do the guys in Gwar ever hang out here? And I'm always like, not very often.
No. Well, Mike Dirks and Mike Bishop, we have invited you here to play a game we're calling...
You guys are Gwar. Meet Jaguar.
We're going to ask you about jaguars. Answer 2 out of 3 questions about jaguars of various kinds. You'll win our prize for one of our listeners. Chioki, who are Mike and Mike playing for?
Sharon Lowry of Richmond, Virginia.
All right. Calm down, lady. If you win, maybe she'll come by the bar to thank you. All right, here we go. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars are an NFL team that's had some good seasons, but they have also been very unlucky, including one year when their punter suffered a unique injury. What was it? A, he bet somebody he could punt a 35-pound kettlebell and broke all his toes. B, he accidentally chopped himself in the leg with the inspirational axe kept in the locker room. Or C, he joined the team's cheerleaders for a kick line and ruptured his groin on the first kick.
C sounds weird.
Yeah.
The kicker joining a kick line?
But I know that they have strict rules against the fraternization between the players, and so I'm thinking it's he broke his toes.
Broke his toes. So let me get this right. Dirks, you're picking he broke his toes trying to punt a kettlebell.
Yep.
And Bishop, you're choosing he got in the kick line with a cheerleader. It was actually the other one. The coach kept an axe and a stump in the locker room to inspire his team to, quote, keep chopping.
What does that have to do with
one
Jaguars?
day, the punter did. All right, that's okay, guys. You still have 2 more chances. Here is your
that.
next question.
What does that have to do with
Jacksonville Jaguars mascot is Jackson DeVille. It's a person in a skin-tight suit and a big jaguar head. And he has been so innovative in the mascot arts that he has actually inspired a rule change for all mascots across the NFL. What is that rule change? A, no mascot may ever mime intimate acts with the other team's mascot. B, all mascots must be drug tested before each half. Or C, no mascot may get closer than 6 feet to the field of play, especially not if they are carrying a life-size dummy of the opponent's quarterback that they intend to stomp on midfield.
C.
Well, it sounds like a very Guar answer, so that having the rubber dummy of the opposing quarterback is...
Yeah, it could be inspired by Guar. Maybe it was. That's the real answer, of course. The rule arose from an incident in a game against the Steelers in 1998.
What were you going to say, Peanut Gallery?
I said C, all the above.
Okay.
Okay, let's start talking about real jaguars. According to the scientists who work at a wildlife reserve in Guatemala, the best way to attract one of the big cats, they can do it without fail, is to do what? A, turn on music by Kenny G, which the jaguars find irresistible. B, wear lots of Obsession by Calvin Klein, which draws them like flies. Or C, dress like Jackson DeVille, the Jacksonville Jaguars mascot.
I think it was
I
A.
bet it's Kenny G, man.
Oh, wow.
The audience is saying
B.
B. The audience is shouting B. They're
Obsession.
saying Calvin Klein, Obsession by Calvin Klein.
I don't know, cats don't have the super sensitive smell like dogs.
Yeah, they got that thing where they go like that.
All right. We're trusting these people who are obviously more intelligent than us.
So you're going to go for B?
B, yeah.
Yes, that's right. Congratulations, everyone. So, Chioki, how did Dirks and Bishop do in our quiz?
The scum dogs of the universe do not know defeat.
Well done.
This message comes from BetterHelp. This mental health awareness.
And at Xfinity, Wi-Fi is booming.
A former Illinois and then National Youth Poet Laureate.
But we, of course,
Just available to Xfinity mobile customers only. Actual speeds vary.
Finally, in October of last year,
Today's pre-roll is brought to you by the Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, on the Downtown Mall, 105 West Main Street, above the Bricks, Suite 200. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. Also, they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personal, highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my bias research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com. Where you will find events such as Frosty Fridays, where you can find our other sponsors. The Kush Gang, purveyors of very fine edibles, and Firehouse Crafts Farms. You can also find Kush Gang and Firehouse at the Canna Market event on Saturdays at the Grow Depot on River Road. Yeah, there we go. And of course, a special thank you to Kush Gang for being here and in the audience. Even if they are lurking, even if he is lurking, thank you guys for showing up. And next Saturday, will be another Breakfast with the Kush Gang. So, looking forward to that. And back to the show.
Year, we hosted the singer-songwriter Kara Jackson, a former Illinois and then National Youth Poet Laureate.
But we, of course, focused in on her most important formative experience, being coached at T-ball by none other than Peter Sagal.
Thanks for having me.
I have left off what I think of as one of the most important items on your resume, which is that you were one of the starting players on the Angels.
Thanks for hanging,
an
Kush
8-year-old
Gang.
girls T-ball
King's
team
ways.
in Oak Park, which I coached.
Yeah.
So, a little nervous about the answer. What do you remember about Coach Sagal on the Angels and being on the Angels?
You know, I was pretty good at T-ball. I've got to say, I was just really tall.
Yeah.
I feel like some people struggled. Like, there were some people where it was like they were shorter, so they had to, like, you know, lower the tee.
Yeah.
But the taller kids, they would make it bigger, and everyone would be like, back up. Like,
There really is no better feeling, I imagine, than coming to bat with the tee and all the other
I feel like I'm
players.
still chasing that high, honestly.
Right? So you moved from T-ball to poetry and were named the Chicago Youth Poet Laureate while you were still in high school. Do you remember any of those early poems?
Well, unfortunately for me, a part of the Youth Poet Laureate program in the city, every poet laureate is responsible for writing a chapbook, so like a mini book of poems. So I have, you know, a living archive.
Right.
Of all the poems I wrote at that time.
Right. Do you ever go back and look at them, and how do you feel about them?
I think it's been a minute since I've looked back at them, but I think I have mixed emotions. Sometimes it's cringy, just because I think that having a living record of things you thought as a teenager would just be cringy probably for everyone here.
Right. That's all
it
gets
very
true.
You know, it's also like a chance for me I'm trying to do better the older I get to also, you know, treat my younger self with care and, you know, appreciate what I was doing at that age, because I think you take for granted a lot.
Yeah. My advice would be go to that young girl you once were and give her a snack and a juice box, because it always worked.
The after the game snacks.
Oh, the best part of T-ball.
So good.
I can see we're never going to get off that topic. You then became, and I remember hearing about this and being very impressed, the National Youth Poet Laureate.
Yeah.
Right. And what kind of, I mean, that sounds like a serious post. What kind of obligations, duties, ceremonial, or otherwise come with it?
Yeah, so when I became the Youth Poet Laureate, I was the third one. So I think the program was still kind of establishing itself in terms of what it entails as a role. I think it was still kind of, you know, becoming a real tangible thing.
Yeah, sure.
So you were the third one, and there have been plenty since then.
Yeah.
So do you look at the new ones like, man, y'all got it good? You know, like how college athletes are getting paid a lot more money now?
I don't know. I really think I only look at the new ones with admiration because they're younger than me, so I either way, I think I would never trade places with someone who's like 19 at this age. Like, no matter what I'm going through.
Yeah.
But
And you're 25 right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Almost 25.
Yeah.
In a couple weeks.
You're not 25 yet?
She's 24.
You're at that age?
She's like, yeah, back in the day when I was just 19.
24 and a half, phase.
Let's talk about your music. So you have a song about the various losers you've dated. It's called Head Blues. It's pretty scathing, and I'm wondering, what has that done for your social life?
Delicately
I don't know,
put,
because I
Peter.
think that I am really associated with like-minded people, so I think it maybe only enhanced it. I feel like for people who needed that song, they really, leaned into it. And it's been fun to travel and perform that one in front of many different audiences. I had to perform at the U.S. Ambassador in London, and I did that song for the U.S. Ambassador. And she was really cool with it. I feel like she, maybe related, possibly.
Dang.
And the response was positive?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Yes.
The ambassador was like,
Yeah,
right
girl.
on, right on, bro.
He said, yeah, girl. Get him, Glow.
Been there.
Well, Kara Jackson, it is great to talk to you, and we've invited you here to play a game we're calling.
It's a yes, fun party.
So you wrote a song called No Fun Party.
Yes.
So based on that, we thought we'd ask you about some really fun parties. Answer 2 out of 3 questions correctly, you'll win our prize for one of our listeners, the voice of anyone they might choose for their voicemail. Bill, who is Kara Jackson playing for?
Maureen Tarr of Natick, Massachusetts.
There you are. All right, you ready to play?
Okay, yeah.
First question. The former executive of a company called Tyco was sent to prison back in the day for stealing money from his company to fund his lavish lifestyle, including a 2002 birthday party for his wife, which included which of these? A, each guest getting a new Mercedes-Benz in a giant bag as they departed. B, an ice sculpture of Michelangelo's David that dispensed vodka from his little David. Or C, a musical background of instrumental versions of U2 songs played during the cocktail hour by U2.
I feel like maybe it's B?
It is B. So if you think about it, it's sort of like a spigot, right? The ice sculpture. Anyway.
Nah, I'm good.
Here is your next question. A British woman named Ivy Smalls celebrated her 105th birthday back in 2016. She only had one request for the party. What was it? A, life-size blown-up photos of all her enemies that she had outlived.
Yeah.
That's what I would
That's my
want.
kind.
That's what I would want.
What did you say?
So I think I remember it being A.
Yeah, I vaguely remember
Because
it
I thought
being
that was an awesome way to celebrate getting old.
right.
That speaks to me.
That's what I even
B,
if it isn't
hunky
A, that's what I
firefighters
want.
with tattoos. Or C, pot brownies.
Okay, wait. I want all three.
The first one speaks to me the most, so I'm going to go with A.
Life-size photos of all the people she had outlived. No, it was actually hunky firefighters with tattoos.
Really?
Yeah, that's what she wanted. All right, here's your last question. Get this right, you win. Colleges are known, of course, for huge parties. And in 2017, one house party at a college in Maryland became such a rager that what happened? A, NBA scouts showed up just to recruit from the beer pong games. B, when the cops came to bust up their party, their breathalyzers all went off just from the air inside the house. Or C, the party became so big it could be seen from space.
C.
B.
B.
Yeah, I'm going to go with B. Sorry in advance to this person.
You're right again.
Oh, okay.
The air was so thick with alcohol that the breathalyzers on their belts started beeping.
Wow.
Bill, how did Kara Jackson do in our quiz?
2 out of 3, Kara. You are the poet laureate who won the game.
Did you remember that answer, or were you just like...
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you used memory. We're not saying that's cheating, but,
How's it cheating when there's no score?
Exactly.
Fair point.
honestly, I don't think we have a set of rules for what we're doing here, so.
Congratulations! Kara Jackson is an award-winning poet and the celebrated singer-songwriter behind Why Does the Earth Give Us People to Love? And speaking from personal experience, she's a contact hitter who can hit with power to all fields. Kara Jackson, thank you so much for joining us on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. That's it for our Wellness Retreat edition. Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me is a production of NPR and WBEZ Chicago in association with Urgent Haircut Productions, Doug Berman, Benevolent Overlord. Philip Gotica writes our limericks. Our public address announcer is Paul Friedman. Our tour manager is Shayna Donald. B.J. Liederman composed our theme. Our program is produced by Jennifer Mills, Miles Dornbos, and Lillian King. Special thanks to Monica Hickey. Our jolly good fellow is Anna Anderson. The Hot Stones and our massage, those are Peter Gwynn. Our vibe curator is Emma Choi. Technical direction is from Lorna White. Our CFO is Colin Miller. Our production manager is Robert Newhouse. Our senior producer is Ian Chillog. And the executive producer of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me is Mr. Michael Danforth. Thanks to everybody you heard on the show this week, all of our panelists, our special guests, of course, Bill Curtis, and thanks to all of you for listening. I'm Peter Sagal, and we'll be back next week, revivifying with a new sense of well-being. This is NPR.
This message comes from LinkedIn.
Well, all right, friends. That was another episode of another clip show from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Just Me Crystal. Thank you, Kingsway's Kush Gang. Much love, guys. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Thank you, Kat, for joining us. Is there anyone else that I am missing in the chat? No, I think that's everyone. Stick around for the raid. We will be raiding to Fun DJ 7. Who is filling in on the Sunday No Pants Raid Train. Thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you so much for the 100 biddies. Fun DJ 7 filling in on the No Pants Sunday Raid Train, hosted by my future ex-husband, Lockpick. And we will see you all later. Now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.
Stilistischen Richtung. industrial-mäßige.